You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Raise your hand if you're ready to finally stop taking work home with you and actually start taking a lunch break. Or spend more time helping students, the reason you got into this profession, and less time doing stuff like bus duty. And if you're ready to finally use data to showcase the importance of your program and the progress your students have made. If any of those things sound like you, then I have got the ultimate solution for you, and that is my stress-free school counseling course. Now you may be thinking, wait, you've talked about this before. I have. So my stress-free school counseling course used to only be launched a few times a year, but now it is available all year long. And it is at a discounted price. This is perfect if you're the counselor who wants to work through it at your own pace. If instead of going through with a cohort and doing things together, you want to get to it when you can because you have a busy schedule. But first, let's see if you're even the right fit. Does this sound like you? You're a new counselor who wants to get started on the right track and not make mistakes and then redo things later. Or maybe you're a veteran counselor and you're feeling burnt out. Or maybe you're just a counselor who feels overwhelmed and stretched too thin. It's so hard to do all the things at once. Or maybe you're a counselor determined to change your program from reactive to proactive. Well, you're in the right place. Stress-Free School Counseling is totally for you. It's a 5-module digital course. So what that means is you get to watch video modules of me talking to you, just like I do here on the podcast, and teaching you in different areas like scheduling, organization, data collection, advocating for your role, and handling pushback. If this sounds like something you may be interested in, if you're a lifelong learner and can't wait to improve your counseling program, you're going to love this. And of course, it's stress-free. Head over to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/enroll to get started today. Hey there, thanks for listening to the last School Counseling Simplified episode of 2022. It is the last week of the year. I hope you are having an awesome holiday break. If you celebrated Christmas, I hope you had a very merry one. And now we're getting geared up for the new year, right? So the new year brings so much possibility, and I was deciding what kind of episode I wanted to do for this week. And I'm like, ooh, goal setting, right? That's what we always do. And I feel like it is like a little overdone, but it just makes sense, right? Of course we want to set goals at the start of the new year. So I do encourage you to do your own goal setting, and really think about how you want to improve personally and professionally. And I would love to hear that. Feel free to send me a message over on Instagram at Bright Futures Counseling or shoot me an email. I would love to know what your goals are personally and professionally for your school counseling program. But today I just wanted to give you 5 program goals that I think you can have. And I think this will make a big difference in your counseling program. And as I went to write these, I started with like big lofty goals, like, oh, you could do this and you could do this, because I'm feeling all that like New Year's enthusiasm. But then I was like, no, back it up, Rachel. Let's start small so it's not overwhelming, right? Because we want these goals to be attainable so that way you can, celebrate when you achieve them, right? We don't want them to be these huge goals that you're never going to meet. So let's start small and you can always build on them. So these are 5 little things you can do that I think will start to make a big difference in your counseling program. So first one is a scheduling goal. And the scheduling goal I have for you is to conduct a time audit to see exactly how you spend your time. You can then use this info to streamline your schedule. So what is a time audit? Well, a time audit is when you literally write down every minute of the day what you're doing. So when you go back to school, meeting during this time, class lesson during this time, group during this time. If you already have a really organized calendar, then you probably already have all this information, but it's just a cool way for you to see how many minutes are literally being spent toward each task. Now, it takes a little time initially to do this, but it's going to save you so much time in the end, because then you can see, where you can scale back or where you can add things. So for example, if you see that you're wasting a lot of time checking email 5 times a day, you could batch your email, like I mentioned before, do it all at one time. And you're going to save yourself like 10 or 15 minutes that you can use to prepare for a class lesson or something like that. So doing a time audit is a really cool way to see where you have room in your schedule that you may feel like your schedule is super packed to the brim, but there may be some wasted time that you could use more purposefully. You could do this in your own life as well. Okay, and then my second goal for you is an organization goal, and that is to color code your calendar. So this is super simple. I just encourage you to put, all your individual students in a color. Like let's say if it's an individual session, they would all be purple, If it's a class lesson, it would all be blue. And then if it's a group, I like to do my groups each their own color. So this way, at a glance, you can just simply see what you have going on that day. You could also do things like meetings, put them in there. And then you're looking at your schedule and you're like, oh, today I got like 2 class lessons, a small group, and a meeting. Or today I'm seeing 3 individual kiddos. So you can kind of get an idea of what your schedule looks like before you even literally read, just by looking at the colors. So you can quickly see at a glance what student groups and class lessons that you have each day. My third goal I have for you is a data goal. You guessed it. You know I love data. And that is just to start with simple observations. So, as I was writing this goal, it was going to be like, oh, well, it's the beginning of the new year. As you see new students, you should do self-assessments and you should send out behavior surveys. And I do want you to do those things. And I think they're so, so important. But I was like, no, Rachel, let's scale it back. What's something simple they can do to get started with data right away? And that's to start with simple observations. So your students that you're seeing, let's say you're working on social skills with a kiddo. Go out to lunch or go out to recess and check it out and see, are they implementing the skills that we've been practicing in group? Or maybe you're seeing a student individually for self-control or anger management coping skills. Go watch them in their classroom, do an observation and see, are they using their coping strategies that we practice together? So then you can record your findings to monitor student progress. If you are checking in once a week, you can see, how they have progressed. My fourth goal for you is an advocating goal. So that is to choose one non-counselor duty to replace or eliminate. This one's a little scary, right? But just choose one thing that you were doing last semester that you really don't think is part of your role as a school counselor. So you can ask a website to see what a school counselor duties are, what your role is, and you can look at those and determine which ones you want to eliminate. But just pick one, bring it up to your admin, and you can reference your time audit from the first goal when you share this with your admin. So you can say look, I'm spending this much time, on lunch duty, and I would rather spend that time with students. Here's some data I have to back me up as well. This is why I think I should be doing that. So if you're feeling up for it, feeling a little gutsy, do the advocating goal. And my last goal for you is handling pushback. So you may not be feeling excited to go back, or maybe you're just feeling a little down, and you're like, I don't want to go back to school. This break's been so nice. I want you to remember your why. So you may be experiencing some internal pushback or resistance, but I want you to go back to when you first started as a school counselor and you were applying for jobs and you were so eager, and I want you to remember your why. Why are you here? Why are you in this profession? And I want to remind you that you are changing so many students' lives and the work you're doing is so important. So there you have it. Those are my 5 goals that I recommend you try to enhance your school counseling program in 2023. There's a scheduling one, that's a time audit, organization by color coding your calendar, data by starting with simple observations, advocating for yourself by eliminating one non-counselor duty, and handling internal pushback by remembering your why. So if all of these goals sound like areas you're ready to improve on in 2023, then you're going to love my Stress-Free School Counseling course. You guys have been hearing me talk about this. This is my 5-step framework and a course that I've created for school counselors to help them maximize their productivity so they can increase their impact and get the recognition that they deserve. So give yourself a gift this holiday season, right? If you want to improve your program, I think now is the perfect time. It's the start of the new year. You're feeling energized and refreshed, and this is the time to make big changes in your counseling program. You can do it. Okay, I hope you have an amazing new year. Happy New Year, and I will talk to you next year.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.